Hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 in my sketchbook. This is pages 3 and 4, and before I kind of get started here, I just want to apologise. The quality of the footage for the first half of this video isn't going to be the best. I had a little bit of a problem with OBS, and as a result, the footage came out a lot smaller than it should have done, so it may have lost a little bit of quality, but it will be fixed by the second half. The second page, we should be all good to go. So today in my sketchbook, I wanted to experiment a bit with character creation again, but focusing more on a specific type. In this case, I wanted to focus on bugs. So the bug that you can see in front of you, I was just doing a very general kind of insect type face. I wasn't going from any reference, there wasn't any particular bug that I was looking at or anything, but just the things that people associate with bugs. Big, sort of big eyes with what's it called, like multiple bits to them. There's a word for that and I can't think what it is. Antennae and big bitey mandibles. And then I took that into what I went into with the first of the characters. I actually gave this guy 6 eyes, like sort of spiderish, and then gave him a face more like an insect. So I was already beginning to kind of mix ideas from different species together, and that's one of the things that I was focusing on whilst I was thinking about what I was drawing, was different types of bugs and insects. So there's a huge variety of different insects and such in the world. I mean, you've got things like praying mantises, kind of like the guy that I'm drawing now, I guess. Then you've got spiders and beetles and flies and ants, loads of different styles, and they all look completely different, totally different bodies and head shapes and all these things. But they have got like the 3 kind of main things: abdomen, thorax, head, 6 legs, 8 legs in the case of spiders, I guess. All that kind of thing. So I was trying to draw on my knowledge of those different shapes and different styles of insects as I was creating these characters. So, like say in the case of this guy, I think I had something like a praying mantis in my head. So going for very elongated limbs and really exaggerating some of the size and length of those limbs. I think he's only got 2 arms, 2 legs, whereas praying mantis obviously it would have 6 legs. So I was taking a little bit of creative creative license, artistic license. That's the term with it. So made it more anatomically human, bipedal. And then buggy, but kind of kept that feeling of praying mantis, elongated bug type body structure. The second guy, I had to play with different mouth types, so you haven't just got the bitey types of insects, you've got the sucky insects with a proboscis. This guy has a proboscis kind of like a butterfly or a moth might have. He looks quite vicious for having such a device, so maybe he's a bit more mosquito-esque, I don't know. But that's the joy of experimenting with these characters, I guess, is that you do end up going to weird places with them. So whilst the proboscis there isn't traditionally a vicious associated with a vicious creature, in his hands with those claws and those arms and such, maybe in this world it is. So I guess what I'm saying is that it's always worthwhile going out and researching things in the real world to help with your creation of things in a fantasy world in your mind. So go to the park, draw bugs that you find, look at reference material. The more bugs and things that you can find and draw, the greater depth, the more you'll have to draw on. You'll have a better, I think what the term is visual library of ideas and ways that you can put these things together and attach them into different forms and such. It's definitely worthwhile to just get out and try and find as many different things as you can, and just draw and sketch and practice until you've got lots of different things to draw upon. Case in point, the one that I've just finished drawing there was sort of trying to mix a humanoid form with a spider form, so we've got kind of top half of quite a feminine top half onto a very spider-esque bottom half, and then kind of a monstrous face to suit the aesthetic, I guess. And so you can see where I've drawn on two different things that I have a knowledge of kind of how they fit together and kind of spliced them into one another. The guy that I'm working on at the moment, again, this was taking a slightly different approach. I'm wondering about maybe a more military or soldier type character. So I took the idea of maybe taking something like an ant, or a creature which is known to have that sort of a military kind of aggression, and just I didn't do too much with him. I just kind of stood him upright on his back legs. I wish I'd kind of gone and done a little bit more with that particular idea, because I think that could be quite fun to kind of do a series of very the word is anthropomorphic, but applying human characteristics to an animal. So taking something like an ant or a bee or something which is known like in that context, and trying to push the human features. So maybe giving him more armor or something might have been quite good. So yeah, I did that little cutesy bee down at the bottom. I always seem to end up doing at least one kind of cartoon character in each of these videos, and each time I do something in a sketchpad, I usually end up with some kind of sort of cartoony type character in amongst them, so that's kind of fun. And then this guy, which is one of my favourites, the face, but the kind of the first praying mantis type guy that I did, and this guy, probably my two favourite ones from this whole video. I really enjoyed the tall, thin aesthetic, the bipedal thing. There's almost an elegance to them, which is weird. Bugs and insects and stuff, not something that you necessarily associate with being elegant, but there was that feeling to them. And again, it's definitely something that I would like to explore further, is these tall insect type characters. And maybe that's something when it comes to it, when I do start trying to play with that anthropomorphic idea that I was talking about, where I'm taking the human jobs and applying them to these insects. Maybe that they will make a reappearance then in some form. And just a final one, space filler up at the top here, sort of a little bit grasshoppery, locusty, but with big shoulders, big muscles. The second page we are now on to. Now, with this page, I went into it with an idea, and I sometimes find that is a mistake, and it certainly was in this case. As you can see, I'm already struggling before I even put pen to paper. I wanted to play with the idea of aging in an insect character. Because obviously insects, you look at an insect or a spider or a bug or anything like that, you can't necessarily tell straight up which is a young one and which one is an old one, except maybe by size. There's no kind of features of the face or the body particularly which give away an age for that particular individual. So I wanted to try and play with what I know about aging a character in context with these guys, see what worked and what didn't. So the first one here, I started playing with like lines of the face and stuff, obviously because some of those lines are associated with a very human mouth. They were never going to work. So here I did the lines under the eyes, and it just made it look a bit kind of dopey. It didn't age it in any way. So with this next one, what I started trying to do was actually play with the shape of the carapace, the exoskeleton on it. See whether I could emphasize different features, different things using that, and that actually ended up working quite well, as you'll see with this guy. Particularly, I started playing around with the brow ridge and the idea of it having bristles around the mouth, sort of adding almost like a facial hair kind of thing to it. So it definitely helped out with that idea of aging. But like I say, I went into this page with an idea, and I often find when you do that, if you enter into a picture having already got the idea in your head of what you're wanting to draw, it ends up looking quite stale, almost very, very dull, very boring, very flat, very uninteresting, as opposed to drawing just through intuition, just letting your imagination go. When you sit down with a blank sheet of paper and you just go for it and see what happens, I personally end up, I don't know whether it's true for everyone, with very much more dynamic, much more interesting characters. And that's so with that first page and the 2 pages that I did in the previous episode, I was doing it very intuitively. I was just letting the pencil do all the work, and I almost just switched off my brain and just let it go. Whereas here I was using my brain too much, and you end up kind of going, no, this line shouldn't be here, it should be over here, and you start over-analysing the things, and you end up, like I say, with a very, very boring, very flat image. So this guy, this was where I'd settled on the idea of using the brow ridges and the bristles to kind of age the character, and then started playing with the idea of the body as well. And I let the body be more intuitive than I'd let the face, and as a result, the body was alright. I'm not so sure about the arms. The shoulder on this guy isn't quite right, but the body I was quite happy with. He's got... I kept the lines of the body very soft. Not soft, what's the word? I can't think of the word. I didn't... They're very broken. They're not rigid in any way. I want them to convey a frailty to the characters. What I was going for, and I can't think of the word that I want to use to describe the line works, but it's very timid is the only word that I can think of. But it kind of expresses the idea that it's a frail creature. It's old, it's aged. I'm hoping that's what I think it does anyway. Yeah. So then again, this is where I had this idea, and I just had it stuck in my head. I was trying to do something which I'd already got in my head, so I went on and I started trying to push it from the side as well. Just do a side view, and I say it's not the most dynamic creature design in the world. I think I could have done a lot better with it if I hadn't have kind of got fixated on this idea and just rather kind of taken the page to kind of explore the idea rather than just go straight into this is what I'm going to draw. So after this one, I went back to trying to draw intuitively. It didn't happen straight away, but I wanted to snap my brain out of it and just kind of go back to doing what I'm comfortable with and just letting the pen do all the drawing. Just let it flow, let it go, let it go. Hey, you know what? I think there might be a song in that. So yeah, this was a fail page for me. This was not a good display of my work. There was nothing at all really on this page that I enjoyed, that I think I'm going to take away and do anything with. At this point I was just I was trying to push myself back towards intuitive drawing, just letting the pencil do the talking, and I couldn't get into it, couldn't get there. So I ended up just playing a little bit with expression, seeing whether I could get emotion conveyed through an insect face, and it just ended up looking very cartoony. So it was. I lost motivation at this point. And sadly, that is one of those things that happens to the best of us when it comes to drawing and art and anything creative, really, is that you'll have a bad day, or maybe even a bad month, bad year, where everything you draw just seems to come out just not good, and you're never going to be happy with it no matter what. And it happens to the best of us, and the only way to get past it is to keep drawing, to keep pushing yourself forwards, to keep trying new things until you crack that funk, that artist's block. So again, here I went back to basics at this point, and I went to okay, well, I'll just draw a very human figure with an insect face, and again, just know that there was nothing about it particularly that grabbed me. It was not the most inspirational thing in the world. It wasn't in any way. It didn't hit the mark with me at all. So again, just bad page, bad day in the sketch pad. But like I say, these things happen, and you just got to push past it, and hopefully the next page will be better. I think that's pretty much coming towards the end of this episode. I think there's only one more very quick sketch that I do on this page. So I guess we'll quickly go over the things that I've spoken about. So using, making sure that you have a lot of reference, a lot of things that you've gone out and researched to increase your visual library. By researching different, well, in this case, different insects, but that could be the same for anything, whether you're playing with mammalian things or amphibious things or anything. There's lots of they come in all forms of shapes and sizes, so you can find them in different guises all over the place. So the more of that you've got to draw on, the more different characters you'll be able to come up with, the more things you'll have to draw from. And then I guess drawing from intuition and drawing from your head, trying to do something that you've already got an idea for. So yeah, that is the end of this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know the commentary was a little bit all over the place there, but join me again for the next episode next week. I think I'll probably play with some different mediums. So until then, see you later. Till then, see you later. Till then, see you later.